DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5. The Game, Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, Parker Kelley here with you on a Friday afternoon in Nashville, Tennessee. Connor Newt getting a well-deserved break. He filled in for Jake Lyman on Next Man Up this morning. He's a part of our high school coverage after our program. He's going to be up late. So Parker Kelley coming in, helping us out. Parker, glad to have you.
Gentlemen, it's an honor to be here.
Hold on, Parker. I got to do something.
What do you got to do?
Uh-oh, he's coming out here.
What's going on? What's going on? Oh, okay.
Got to get a fist bump.
Oh, okay.
It's the second time I've ever been on this program.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
So
and the
it's an
first
honor to be
time,
here.
and the first time was after the ice storm.
Yes.
It was you, me.
Snowmageddon.
It was you, me, and Brandon Bigsby because these two were iced into their homes. So yes, we are glad to have you for a regular edition of DMase, Vingan, and Donick. Chad Withrow will join us at 4 o'clock. You will have an opportunity to win a pair of tickets to the Music City kickoff game between Ole Miss and Louisville during the 5 o'clock hour during Ask DMase. The best question for Derek Mason as part of Ask DMase, that person will win those tickets. Again, if you want a pair of tickets to the Liberty Mutual Music City kickoff game, Ole Miss versus Louisville at Nissan Stadium, Sunday, September 6th. Be listening during the 5 o'clock hour and participate in Ask DMase. We will remind you as the program
Say that again.
progresses.
Louisville.
Still needs work.
Ole Miss and Louisville.
Oh, it
We need
needs
to get a
some
little
work.
Tom Jackson.
Louisville.
Louisville.
You can't say Louisville, right? That's bad.
Definitely
You
not.
can't
well,
say that.
you can. It just is not right.
Louisville.
Some people do that.
Well, I get it. I get it because I grew up in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and next to Virginia Beach, Virginia is Norfolk, Virginia. Norfolk. And I don't like it when people go Norfolk. No, it's not that. It's Norfolk. Norfolk. That's it.
Norfolk.
So I get it. I get it with those of you who are from Louisville. If you feel a certain way about it, I get it. And if you're mad at me, that's fine. Still participate in Ask DMase during the 5 o'clock hour if you want to see your beloved Cardinals at Nissan Stadium early next month. But all of us were in attendance at the Titans joint practice with the defending Super Bowl champion, Seattle Seahawks. We are going to share what we learned both offensively and defensively. This has nothing to do with the practice. Something I learned today. Y'all call me princess behind my back.
No, we don't call you princess behind your back. You call that to your face, too.
Well, you did it when I showed up and you realized you were calling me princess behind my back. Then you decided to call me
no, I thought we
princess.
called you princess before.
I've never heard it.
Oh, well. But it wasn't behind your back,
Mm,
you know, because we would say it in your face. You are princess, and we told you why.
because I don't like when it's hot outside.
Yes, absolutely. So we were like, where Princess at? Where did he go?
I was trying to plan the show.
I know you said that.
I had my big ass safari hat on, you know, had the
It was. Let's be honest. It was big.
Yes.
It
it was huge.
well, the last time I went to practice, I got badly sunburned on my forehead. So I had to make sure I actually packed my big ass safari hat. And you know what? No sunburns. But
That's
all right.
good.
Here's what always makes me laugh about practice recaps, analysis, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, people who could not attend the practice are relying so heavily on our reports, the reports from Paul Kaharski and Nick Suss, Easton Freeze, Terry McCormick, Teron Davenport. And I love watching people who aren't at the practice reacting to the practice. Like, yeah, the Titans defense is killing it out there. How do you know? Just because there was a report, you're taking that off of one post? I don't know. I digress. So all of us were out there. So let's start with what everybody wants to know. How did Cam Ward and the Titans offense look against the Seattle defense? Did Cam Ward, quote unquote, bounce back from his iffy week last week in joint practice with the 49ers, his discouraging performance in the preseason game against the 49ers? Let's go around the room. Let's start with you, Willy Donick. How did Cam Ward and the Titans offense look today against the Seahawks?
I thought, and I haven't read what other people who routinely watch practice have wrote about it. my eye was telling me I thought it was a very solid performance from Cam Ward. He had a couple of nice throws down the field. He had one bad interception. But I thought he got into a groove, especially late in the practice, where he really was making it a point to get the ball out on time. He was decisive. It was 1, 2, 3 balls out. He took a lot of quick, short throws that were there, and a couple of really nice throws that also were planting the back foot, throw with good mechanics. You guys were laughing at me because there was one throw he made in the red zone where he rolled out right, threw back across his body through a laser beam that was caught by Alec Iamaner for a touchdown. That was the exact throw that I suggested earlier this week that he not try anymore.
Yes.
Because he's had that intercepted a couple of times, but it was a great throw. So I was saying, hey, that's the one I said you're not supposed to throw.
You said,
you're like,
no.
Derek was like, that's why you can't do that. That's why you got to let him do that. Well, today it was a good move that he threw that. But I thought it was a positive day for him, I think.
I thought the offense did a good job. Again, we didn't see them in San Francisco. We just heard about, how the practice went for the offense, and it sort of echoed what we saw in the game. It didn't completely go well. It started off okay, but then ended up, in a bad place. So coming here and actually seeing the practice I think was a big benefit to see, because this is the thing we're wondering. Yeah, Cam, we see what Cam does against our secondary, but the last time we saw our secondary, they were not that good. And get it, defense was vanilla, but the perception is our defensive secondary is still a question mark. So doing it against your own secondary was is this a little bit misleading in the sense? So you wanted to see Cam or hear that Cam had a good day practicing against Seattle, and he did, with the exception of that, and it was a bad, he didn't see the safety drop, and he has to see things like that, but it's not like that doesn't happen from time to time, but those are the things you're trying to make sure that he gets out of his system, or things that he doesn't, if it does happen, it's like, wow, what's going on here? But beside that throw, I think he moved the ball well. I think he stayed on task. I think he stayed on with what they wanted to do as far as their timing. When he saw an open guy, he hit open guy. He went through his progressions really well. I thought he got outside the pocket really well. He made a run that, because we were on the further end of the field. We were on the south end of the field, or the north end of the field, whichever way we were. But we didn't see it. We couldn't see us, but it seemed like he would have scored on the scramble. He had a really good red zone period that was right in front of us to start practice off. That's when he sort of got into his groove. Again, he still needs to get better. He dirtied a few that he needed to. He threw one bad ball to the shoulder, I think, of the running. It may have been the running back, Spears. But beside that, I thought he stayed on task. He hit the open guys. He moved well in the pocket. And besides that one interception, I thought he had a good day. But these are days he has to build on. The game needs to look like that. That's what the game needs to look like, because now we've seen him do it against somebody other than our defense. It should look like that, or close to that, once we, watch the game on Sunday.
I will note that both teams were on their best behavior for the most part. There will be no $500,000 fines for the Seahawks and Titans. There was one. I think Tajay Spears was involved in it, but it didn't last very long. I did see a Titans helmet go flying out of the scrum, which was funny. But no dust-ups, no skirmishes, no kerfuffles, really. A lot of trash talk. That's to be expected. But there will be no fines for either team, I expect, because they were on their best behavior for the most part. Parker Kelley, what was your takeaway from the Titans offense's performance today?
I think effective is the right word that I'm looking for Cam Ward. Like DMase was saying, I feel like the touchdown early on during the practice to Alec Iamaner, rolling to his right, firing it back across the middle. Alec Iamaner was standing right there in the middle of the end zone. That got him into a groove. And what I've always felt Brian Daboll, with these concepts that he's installing into the offense, is trying to get through to Cam Ward, is you look at some of the great quarterbacks throughout history, Tom Brady, even more recently, Patrick Mahomes. They are so good at making the boring plays over and over and over, but when they need to make a big play and the team they need it the most, they always come through. So I feel like with these concepts, Cam Ward's hitting the easy passes, at least he was today. And then when he needs to put on the cape, he has the big play ability to do so. The pick was pretty bad. It was off play action, tried to force it in a window that wasn't there, and didn't see the guy who picked it off. That was pretty inexcusable from him today, but everything else, I thought he was pretty effective.
Robert Saleh said after practice about Cam Ward throughout training camp, quote, he's had days where he's played elite quarterback. I'm sure he wants to have a couple of days back, but I think you can make the case that more often than not, he's doing a hell of a job. Also, no injuries for the Tennessee Titans, but there was a major injury for the Seattle Seahawks. Wide receiver Jake Bobo went down Friday with what appears to be a serious knee injury. Seattle's coach Mike McDonald says it looks like a long-term injury. So that's unfortunate for the Seahawks, but it appears that the Titans did not suffer any significant injuries, some bumps and bruises, of course, Robert Saleh said, but nothing severe. The plan is for the starters to play in the preseason game on Sunday. Hey, prime time, national television.
Stop it.
Mike North, shout out.
Kenny Albert on the call.
Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma on the call. So the Titans will get the preseason primetime treatment. The starters will play on Sunday. Saleh did not have a guess on how many plays or series the starters will play, but they will be out there. So it's interesting to me. Again, I went back upstairs to the media room after practice. I scrolled through social media. I wanted to see what some of our colleagues were saying, and I saw a lot of reaction from fans, just like, yeah. It's to me, it's always been fascinating watching the reaction to a football practice. Not to say these practices aren't important. They clearly are, especially when you're going up against another team and you're going up against a team the caliber of the Seattle Seahawks. But I always caution people not to get too wrapped up in how a team performs in practice. But here's a question I have for all of you. I saw Todd Monken, head coach of the Cleveland Browns, say this after a joint practice with the Buffalo Bills. The Browns and the Bills on opposite ends of the NFL spectrum, much like the Seahawks and the Titans. And Monken's review of the Browns' performance was, we held our own. And that was comforting to him, that the Browns, quote unquote, held their own against the Buffalo Bills, one of the top teams in the NFL. So let me ask all three of you, did the Tennessee Titans hold their own against the Seattle Seahawks today?
They absolutely did. But as I said yesterday, my theory with all of that is when you have a Super Bowl team that you're playing against, there's not as much urgency for the Seahawks in that practice as there is, I think, for the Titans, who are trying to, just correct some things that didn't go very well last week. They've been challenged. They're trying to build a foundation. They've got a new coach. I think there's more urgency and focus for a practice like that. I'm not sure you saw the best of the Seahawks today, but that's okay. I like you said, Adam, I think the important thing is to keep all of this in perspective. It's not time to run out and start making predictions of making the playoffs, but I think it was a good, solid day's work today. Hopefully it's something they can build off.
I don't think you saw the best of Seattle, but what I think you saw was Seattle, competing, because if you're going if you're going against someone that isn't your team, automatically, if you don't step on that field with that desire to want to compete and destroy your opponent, regardless if it's a practice, especially against someone that you haven't been playing against, or a preseason game, the mentality is when you come out there, you want to be aggressive. You want to go out there and you don't want to get showed up, in a sense. So whereas we may not have seen the best Seattle, just like you haven't seen the best Tennessee Titans, but you did see a Seattle team that came out and competed. And knowing that, the Titans came out and I think more than held their own when you're talking about competing with the team. You're not competing against the Super Bowl champs. That team's gone. It's done. The same team that won that Super Bowl isn't the team you're facing today. It's just not. That's the way it is in the sport, because guys, get bigger contract. They cut guys retire. So you're not facing the same. But what you are facing is a Seattle team that is going to come out and compete, and the Seattle team that needs to get back on the right track quickly if they are going to compete for another Super Bowl, because their division is getting harder and harder. So I thought you saw the Titans, I think, at least from an offensive standpoint, what I seen. It wasn't perfect, no, but I saw a team that wasn't intimidated. I saw a team that came out and more than just held their own. They got into a groove, and that's what you want to see. And now they need to take that and make sure that it filters over into the game.
Parker Kelley, did the Titans hold their own against the Seahawks today?
100%. I was thoroughly impressed by the defense. I was watching them pretty intently in between, red zone periods, and they gave up a few chunk runs. And something that Saleh was talking about after the San Francisco game last week was this defense is meant to bend but not break. And despite giving up those chunk gains on the ground, they didn't allow them in the end zone. And they were going up against the ones. Jackson Smith and Jigbo's out there. Sam Darnold, Jadarian Price, they were all out there. So I was really impressed by that. And Cam Ward's ability today to move the ball up and down the field, I thought that was impressive. So, yeah, they did hold their own. And I'm not going to take away any credit from Seattle. They're not at their strength right now. They're scrambling to try to find defensive backs because, they signed Terry and Arnold, but he's on the NFL commissioner's exempt list. They're trying to bring in some other guys, and Nick Emmanwori's not out there. But overall, that's still a very solid defense, might even be better than the defense they went up against last week. So absolutely, they held their own.
615-737-1025. We'll continue our conversation about the Titans practice against the Seahawks. Coming up next, we'll focus on the defensive side of the ball. And one player we've been critical of had a big day for the Titans on defense. We'll discuss him and the whole defense coming up next. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Keep up with training camp with 1025 The Game for the latest updates, player interviews, and more as we get you prepped for the upcoming football season. Coverage of training camp is presented by Twin Peaks Restaurants, Parman Tractor and Equipment, Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery, and Tri-State Water, Power, and Air. DMase, Vingan and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Willie in charge of music today. We already know the theme because you spoiled it for us
Yes, I
yesterday,
did.
but share it with the people.
There's a common thread in all of these songs. They all have the depth.
The depth!
The depth.
It's about being deep. The SEC, the depth.
The depth.
So we start off by rolling in the deep, and there's going to be a lot of things that happen.
Hey, Willie,
In
don't
the
be
deep.
surprised if you're on vacation somewhere and you just say the depth and somebody else says the depth.
Right. And they're going to say,
The
oh,
depth!
you're talking about the SEC, right? Yeah.
Parker Kelley, where do you stand on this hot button issue? Answer
Can I
carefully.
play the middle here? Is that allowed?
Answer
Because-
carefully.
Well, I was talking with Willie about this.
Mhm.
He acknowledged that the Big Ten is a better conference. The way I judge conference superiority, who has the most teams capable of winning a national championship? I think it's fair to say that the Big Ten has more. But the SEC, in terms of overall depth, is a deeper conference than the Big Ten. A good data point will be in week 2. Mississippi State travels to take on Minnesota this year. Mississippi State is regarded as one of the bottom teams in the SEC, with Minnesota being a middle-of-the-pack Big Ten. So if you're wanting a data point, that certainly is one.
The depth.
The depth!
So he's in the middle. Yeah, he's not gonna,
We'll see how State does there. Minnesota should beat them
But
Up
you
there.
see, Willie started
Up
already.
there. Up
Minnesota
there.
should beat them.
up there.
They should be. But what have y'all said for the longest? The bottom teams would beat the Big Ten, middle and bottom teams.
Minnesota is supposed to be sneaky good this year, so I'm better than normal. But what the atmosphere at Minnesota
Yes.
will not be what the atmosphere would be if that game was in Starkville. So that's part of my depth presentation is the atmospheres that you play in when you go on the road in the SEC, much more difficult week in and week out than a lot of the Big Ten.
So
Not
what you're
the
really
Big Ten,
saying is
but
this.
the bottom of the Big Ten. The bottom
So
half.
what you're really saying is this, is that the depth of the SEC fan base is deeper.
It's part of the formula.
Yeah, so
Part
it
of
has
what makes
nothing
it-
to do with the team.
It has a lot to do
No,
with the
you
teams,
just
too.
say, but you just say the fan base every time. You
It's
say
a-
going to Starkville and going to Minnesota are two different places. Well, we know
Very
that.
sure.
And
Very
you're
much.
right. But
Yeah.
the fans are loud still, no matter what.
I don't know how loud the Minnesota fans are. I don't think I've ever said, hey, you ever been to Minnesota, man? They've got awesome fans. You watch out. You're not going to be able to call your signal.
Row the boat, Willie.
The Golden
Row the
Gophers,
boat.
man, come
You don't
on.
think Mississippi State can go on the road and beat them?
Row the
I think
boat.
they can. They
I do.
can.
I do too.
See, there we go.
But there's certainly a mystery with a lot of teams. There will be a couple teams in each of the leagues that are surprisingly good, and there'll be a couple teams that are in this top 5 probably that fall on hard times and get caught up and things go wrong. But by and large,
Mhm.
the atmospheres at the home games, the resources being put in, and the caliber of player is way deeper in the SEC than the Big Ten. It's really, it's not even arguable, really.
The depth.
The depth!
Who won the last couple of championships?
Well, look, I can't
Okay,
argue with
all
that.
right.
The superiority at the top right now is
The
the Big Ten.
superiority, period.
At the top.
Okay,
At the top.
boys.
See,
To
we
your
can go back
corners.
yes.
To your corners.
Hey, you were the one that
The
asked
depth.
Parker to
Yes.
get in on it.
Exactly.
I did.
You opened
That-
up the can.
That
I'm happy to get into this debate. Happy.
one texter says, "Don't you guys think those cowbells should be banned? They're so annoyingly loud."
Yes, they are. That's the whole
Yeah.
point.
Exactly.
Well,
But you can't use enhancements.
Look, they've tried to ban them. They still bring them. There's nothing you can do.
You know why?
the Vandy Whistler hasn't been banned, so the cowbells are here to stay.
Yeah,
I know it's a different
I
sport.
don't know what the Golden Gophers are.
Imagine like 15,000 whistlers. That's what you got.
Sounds like my version of hell.
cowbells. Yeah.
All right. Back to the Tennessee Titans. Before we get to the defense,
Mhm.
Derek, you wanted to comment on the performance of the offensive line today against the Seahawks.
Yes, I thought the offensive line did a good job today. There were some big runs by Pollard. Chestnut had a big run. I believe it was Carter that had a big run as well. So the offensive line, I'm not sitting here saying they dominated Seattle's front, but I thought that there was more than a handful of plays that I thought the offensive line did a good job at blocking down, combo blocking, and then getting to the next level. It was one play, I think it was Pollard that broke. I mean, you saw Big JC talking trash after the play and pushing people down the field. So that's what you want to see from your, especially going against a defensive line like the Seattle Seahawks. So I thought the offensive line, they held their own. And I think they more than held their own against that front.
So let's talk about the defense, the much maligned secondary. By the way, have you ever noticed that things are never regularly maligned? They're always much maligned. But it does fit here. The much maligned secondary of the Tennessee Titans had a solid day as well. Jeffrey Simmons said after practice that man coverage was the focus from the second the team got back from San Francisco. Our friend Nick Suss of the Tennessean reports, because he was watching primarily the Titans defense versus the Seahawks offense. Suss reports, quote, the Seahawks first team offense only found the end zone twice across 10 periods of best versus best work. Jackson Smith-Njigba, the NFL's reigning offensive player of the year, was held to 4 catches. By the Tennesseans' count, Sam Darnold finished his day having completed a little under 60% of his passes. The Titans' first-team defense registered at least 3 pass breakups and 1 interception, while only surrendering 1 explosive play, a go ball to Smith-Njigba that came 3 plays after the practice's simulated halftime. But one of the big plays of the day, Alontae Taylor scoring a pick 6 off of Sam Darnold. So again, we were talking about showing progress week to week. A lot of conversation about the secondary. Hell, we even talked about the secondary before the secondary was struggling against the 49ers in that joint practice and in the preseason game last week. But Derek, from what we saw, much like the offense, the defense held its own against Seattle at practice today.
Yeah, I thought that from my vantage, I thought that Taylor had a good day. Flott was better than what he had been. I saw Gray running around. Martin had a nice breakup. But I think the secondary, they had a pick 6. I think the secondary held on. And that's one of those things where the whole week they were hearing what people were saying about them. They were hearing about Jackson Smith-Njigba and Shaheed and the crew is coming to Nashville. The secondary struggled against a rookie, a player with San Francisco, Brisley or Scribbly. What was his name?
Deshaun Stribley.
Yeah, Stribley. Yes, they had trouble with Stribley. So they
sounded like me baby talking my 6-month-old kid there for a moment there.
So they heard all of this noise coming into it. So they wanted to make sure they came out and, they competed and matched Seattle's offense because, yes, they do have some high-powered guys on that side of the ball at the skill position led by Sam Darnold. But I thought the secondary did a good job. There's still places where they can improve. But I thought Taylor held his own. Flott needs to get better. Now, again, like I said with the offense, now this is something you need to take into the game. Now we need to see it when the lights come on and see if the things that you guys were doing on the field can translate to, game day.
Willy Donick, Sam Darnold said after practice about the Titans defense, quote, you see the aggression. You see the kind of pressure that they put on the quarterback. Their 4-man rushes are really good. And when they bring 5 or 6-man rushes, and even when they bring fire zones, they're really, really good. The back end is really good at disguising right now. They're showing a lot of different things defensively without getting too far into the weeds. They're doing a lot of great things, and that defense is going to be really good this year, end quote. Your thoughts?
Sam Darnold knows that defense because he faced it twice last year.
True.
So he probably wasn't fooled by anything. And I don't think there's a lot of deception in the Robert Saleh defense. So it is going to be about those guys putting pressure on. I wasn't watching that field as closely as I was where the Titans were playing offense, but what I tried to watch as many of Darnold's reps as I could. The spin rate was there, by the way, good tight spirals, but
outstanding spin rate.
I saw what the consensus was. They didn't get burned on a lot, and I thought the front 4 while I don't know if I saw like a bunch of plays where I'm thinking that's a sack, I thought they were in his face enough to affect throws. Like they weren't making it easy for him. They were making the pocket smaller. And I hope that will translate when they start playing real games, because that is going to be so much of the formula. Can this team have a good pass rush for the first time in about 5 years? They haven't had a good pass rush since 2021, better than average, and consequently a better than average defense since 2021.
Parker Kelley, your thoughts on what you saw from the Titans defense? I know you were watching that field very closely.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that the front seven wasn't able to generate more of a pass rush than they were. They affected Darnold at times, but not as much as I was expecting them to, but was really pleased from what I saw from the secondary. Alontae Taylor dropped a pick earlier in practice, but later made up for it with the pick 6 at the tail end there. Cordell Flott had a better day. Overall, I was really impressed by Kevin Winston. He's just somebody that is everywhere out there. It doesn't matter if they're playing 1 high, 2 high. If he's 1 high and he's having to play center field, if you leave that ball a little bit too long in the air, whether it's to the left or right, Kevin Winston has the ability to recover and make up with his speed. He's just everywhere. So I think when we're talking about foundational players for the Titans, I could certainly see Kevin Winston being that for him.
Chad says on our text line, I'm going to shout out Femi Oladejo as being a force today as well. Front seven was disruptive to that Seattle offensive line. The whole practice, JFM and Johnson had sacks, but Femi had multiple sacks and TFLs. Looked like a completely different player. And that would be huge for the Tennessee Titans if Femi Oladejo can emerge as
I
a
really
pass
want
rusher.
he and Falk, and I'll say the same thing as I said last week. I'm not going to use the catchphrase "flash me," but
I mean,
I do want to see
can.
those guys are good athletes. They have tools, so you want to see them in practices like this. And I think the game on Sunday, where you're going to be put in some one-on-one spots just to see the Seahawks want to see if the guard can stop those guys one-on-one, and the Titans want to see if they can beat a one-on-one. They're not scheming, so you want to see the athleticism and the talent pop like that. And Winston, Parker brings up Winston. We saw another play where he was arriving with the ball and he hit the guy and the guy was shaken up. Like, and it was just like the 2 plays that we were talking about yesterday. So Winston.
Well, he is a player that plays downhill, you know, and you need to at that position. But you also have to, you know, because again, it's going to be, you know, in a game, you know, hopefully if that hit does arise or something like that in a game, he's positioning his body in a way where he's not taking a personal foul. But he plays with a lot of aggression. Just don't use that much aggression against our own guys. But today I thought he did a pretty good job.
615-737-1025 will take your reaction to our reaction of the Titans practice, because most of you weren't there, so you have to take our word for it. But if you have any questions about what you saw or what you heard about the practice, you can let us know. You can ask us. We were there. 615-737-1025. A couple of announcements, however. First, you can catch the Metro High School football game of the week every Friday at 7 p.m. here on 1025 The Game. Tonight's game will feature Pearl Cone versus Montgomery Bell Academy. Before and after the game, Big Joe and our very own Connor Newt will have complete high school football coverage with the Game Blitz, powered by Southeast Financial Credit Union. Also, 1 week from today, make sure to come out and hang out with us at T-Line in West Nashville as we celebrate our 15th anniversary. We will have lots of gifts for you, yes, you, the listeners, every hour starting at 6 a.m. You can listen for a chance to win Predators tickets, Vanderbilt tickets, concert tickets, and more. And our grand prize, Predators season tickets. Not just 1 game, not just 2 games, 42 regular season home games. You can win Nashville Predators season tickets if you stop by T-Line next Friday and help us celebrate our 15th birthday. For more information, visit thegamenashville.com/birthday. DMase, Vingen and Donick, 1025. The Game. Classic song.
We're in
Good
too
choice,
deep.
Willie.
Genesis Invisible Touch album. I saw him at the Citrus Bowl back in the day. Packed house.
I like it. I like it. Sets a good
Deep
mood.
is the
There we
theme.
go.
Deep is the theme.
Sets a good mood because we're talking about the depth of the SEC.
SEC. They're gonna beat each other up. They're beating each other up. Nobody's going unbeaten in the league. I'm with the Athletic on this. Nobody's gonna run the table because of the depth.
The depth. We received a strange text during the break.
Strange text.
Yes,
Okay.
Always fun.
strange.
But you still can read it.
Yes.
Okay.
Not inappropriate,
Okay.
just strange. One texter says, my review of today's practice reminds me of when I accompanied my newly 2-year-old son to his first birthday party with his colleagues. First of all, who calls their 2-year-old's friends colleagues? That's an interesting choice of words. Him punching out at simultaneous 1 and 2s approximately 13 minutes, 22 seconds into the party was not a good look, and there was clear room for improvement. However, the Carly and Caitlin twins, who were at least 3 months older than my boy, melting down not getting the first pizza handouts, showed me he was not far behind in maturity. I think the Titans will be okay.
So he said that to say, I think the Titans will be okay.
And even
That's
if
a
they
good way
had
to say it.
and even if they had a rough practice today, they might still be okay. I mean, okay is relative.
Yeah, it's just for me, it's difficult to sort of understand what you're really seeing because the last time we saw the defense when they played against someone else other than our own offense, they didn't look well. And then we see the offense, they have a good, first series, but then after that, they don't look well. So when you get in practice and you see that, Cam is having good days, and at times defense has a good day, the secondary in particular. You don't know how to sort of match that with what you're seeing on television. So to see them go out there, both the offense and the defense today and have a better showing, I think it does gives you a better sort of sense of, okay, maybe they are progressing, but then you got to see it on this upcoming Sunday.
Let me ask you guys, Derek, let me start with you on this. If I said, hey, they're going to have one of these sessions, the practice and the game, one's going to look not so good, one's going to look really good. Which would you rather look good in, the game or the practice?
I think, well, both really.
Because of you got me thinking that way because of what you're saying. It's still a controlled environment. Nobody's saying
practice
tackles.
is still a controlled environment, and then once it's just, and everybody knows.
But there's more reps of the ones versus the ones. I don't even know what the Seahawks said what they're doing. Are they playing their guys on Sunday?
I don't know if they are.
I'll take a look.
Ones versus one. So I would my thought just from what I said, I might evaluate it more on the practice. Because it was a long practice. There was a lot of reps today for everybody. Yeah,
I can understand why, some people would, look at the practice and say, well, I'm judging it based upon, what I'm seeing in what they're going or who they're going against in practice. But I just look at the game as being something different because being in that position for a good chunk of my life, I've seen guys practice really well, and then once those lights come on, for whatever reason, when people are in the stands, everything changes. When those lights that are about
the silks
200 feet away from you, when those lights turn on, something just changes, and some people don't know how to change with that. Some people, it just gets too big for them. The moment gets too big, they're nervous. Everything seems to be a blur to them. So practice that's one part of it. But if you can't then, sort of replicate that on the playing field, that's where it needs to be replicated on the playing field. That should be, we've worked this whole week on doing this. Now, once we get to the game on Sunday, this is how it should look. And if it doesn't look that way, it's like, man, well, what are we really doing in practice? So I think both of them has its place, but I think ultimately it's what are you doing on game day? Are you showing up on game day? Because again, some people are great practice players, and you put them in a game and they disappear.
I cannot find the Seahawks plan for the preseason game quickly. It would not shock me, however, if similarly to what we saw in San Francisco last week, if most of the starters for the Seahawks don't play in the game. So speaking of the SEC, you may get a lot of Jalen Milroe on Sunday. He was out there today.
He was.
Andrew Locke.
Drew Lock, yeah.
Andrew Locke. To answer your question,
Hendon
Willy,
Hooker, you can't forget about Hendon Hooker.
I mean, I can.
I'm just saying, you said SEC. So,
I
there you
mean,
go.
that is true.
Yes.
Hendon Hooker is an SEC quarterback who will probably play in the preseason game, just like Jalen Milroe. So that is technically accurate. To answer your question, Willie, and I don't have the scientific answer that Derek Mason does because he actually participated in these practices and games. I think it's more important from a perception standpoint that they play better in a game that everybody can watch.
Right.
Yeah.
There's that is for sure. And I just wonder if professionals like a Mike Borgonzi and the real evaluators can put aside the reactions of the fans, because it's at the end of the day, the perception of your team means something going forward. But right now, I think it's more important just what your eyes are telling you to block out the noise and the reaction. So if they were to lay an egg on Sunday in front of the home fans, it wouldn't be great, but I would be looking at it and say, well, look what they did in a high volume of reps, ones versus ones and so forth against a really good team.
I think you make a good point. I just know that. Let's reverse this for a moment. Let's say Cam Ward had the day he had in the preseason game in the joint practice, and he had a better day in the preseason game. I don't think we would have had the sky is falling conjecture we've been discussing all week about Cam Ward. So although Ward had, I would say, again, by no means an expert, I thought he had a solid overall day. He did have the pick six, which is not good, but overall he had a solid day. If he can have another solid day, especially on national television, I'm going to emphasize this primetime game because you're not going to get very many more of them, Titans fans, or I don't think you're going to get any more of them, actually, at least this season. If he has a solid game on Sunday, then we come back here on Monday and people aren't like, oh my God, he's a bust.
And with the national audience, too, it gets me thinking about something we discussed last week, too. Right now, as we sit here, I think it's wishful thinking that they're today going to get anything for Will Levis in a trade, right? And Levis was okay today. He did some nice things with the third unit for whatever that's worth. So what happens on Sunday? If he looks really good, would that give them any additional hope that they could find a taker for him? Because it looks like right now he's just playing out the string.
He's going to get cut.
I mean, I think he knows it. He's just trying to put as much good plays on tape as he possibly can, whether the Titans get an opportunity to trade him, or, he finds himself, cut by the team and then, have to look for another team after that. So, I mean, he has to know the writing is on the wall. He looked good today. But what does that really mean in a big scheme of things? But getting back to the offense, I thought the offense played with tempo too. I thought they were, especially when they wanted to, get up to the line and run a quick play. They did that several times. It seemed as if everyone was under control. It seemed like Cam handled that, like a starting quarterback should handle situations like that. I think one of them was after his run that I don't know what it was. It may have been a touchdown, may not have been. Again, we were on the far end. But then right after that, they rushed to the line of scrimmage and they ran another play. I believe it was that play. But then, a prime example of, things happening in practice that need to translate to the game. He threw two big plays to Alec Alman. And I'm not even talking a crosser. He threw the deep ball, remember they called which I don't think it was a pass interference.
They call it offensive.
Yeah,
pass
I don't think it was
interference.
offensive pass interference. They both guys were jostling with one another, and Alec just outmuscled him. And I think Alec caught another one in the corner in the end zone. Those are the things that needs to translate to the game, because Cam looks at Alec as his big body receiver, the guy that can go up and make that combative catch. He's the more physical of the receivers. That's why you see with him a lot of, back shoulder passes, a lot of high balls, because he's proven, in the last year as a rookie that he can go up and get those. He has to continue to get better at those type plays, because Cam is going to be looking for him.
615-737-1025. Coming up next, our friend Chad Withrow will join the program. We'll talk Titans, we'll talk college football, and more with Chad Withrow coming up next. 615-737-1025. Today, the Nashville Sounds take on Norfolk. First pitch is at 5:35 p.m. You can catch all of the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks Family Leisure and Social Cantina. DMase, Vingan and Donick, 1025. The Game, Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, Parker Kelley here with you. Let's go to our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Chad Withrow. Hello, Chad. How are you?
Doing great, guys. Hope you're doing well.
We are. First of all, congratulations on your new venture with your friend and our friend, Jonathan Hutton at Sport and State. We had Hutton on the show the other day. I know the two of you are excited. So congratulations. I just want to say that to start.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a lot of work in the process to get this thing ready, and it was fun launching it this week, and it's been a great reception so far. So appreciate you guys and hopping on your show every week, and appreciate everybody who tuned in these past 3 days.
Also, I watched some of the Baylor Brentwood Academy game last night on ESPN. And remember during Titans games when the broadcast would show footage of Derrick Henry playing high school football and it was literally man versus boys out there? That's how I felt watching David Gabriel Georges last night. That was my first viewing of him. I can understand why Vols fans are excited.
Well, and keep this in mind too. Like you're spot on, right, Adam, with what you're saying. Now, who Derrick Henry was playing were little boys in North Florida.
True.
The smallest classification, right? This dude is doing this against all future SEC players on that Brentwood Academy defense. He's got 2 Tennessee teammates that play for Brentwood Academy on that defense. Kenneth Simon, son of great Tennessee linebacker Kevin Simon, being one of them. 250-plus all-purpose yards. They lined him up in the slot. They lined him up out wide. He had a big screen pass for a touchdown. I mean, dude is a freak, and I mean that in the kindest way. I am very excited. I keep thinking, you know, what if DGG played at even beach the way Jalen Hurd did? And Jalen Hurd was phenomenal in high school. I know we remember watching him and covering him, but how many records would this guy break if he were playing in any other classification other than Division II 3A with far and away the best athletes in the state in that classification? That's what's so remarkable is this is one of the best single classifications in the nation. And he is putting up video game numbers against those dudes. He would rush for 15,000 yards against Derrick Henry's schedule from back in high school. Like I have never been higher on a high school football recruit than I am DGG. Mark it down, fellas, and we can play this at some point. Tennessee will win the SEC in one of his 3 years. I don't know which one. They're going to win a conference title, and it's going to be because of that dude.
Chad, I said this dude was everything that you advertised him to be and more. It was men amongst boys with him running the football. So UT has them a good one when you're talking about running backs.
And he's also like the Ivan Drago of high school football in that, you know, he's a machine. Like he doesn't eat sugar. He does nothing but works out.
They made that a big deal. They were like, how is it that a 18-year-old kid doesn't eat sugar?
I mean, DMase, it's perfect. Like English is his second language. You know,
yeah, he's from Canada. Is he from Canada?
He's from Canada, but he speaks French. Mm-hmm. He's French Canadian from Quebec. He's Haitian Canadian. His family all speaks French. French is his first language. He speaks English well enough, but it's his second language. He's not spent a lot of time macking on girls on campus. This dude is eating protein all day, no sugar. He's working out, you know, probably 12 hours out of the day, and he's banging hats on the football field. That's what he does. It's all he does. That's why he's going to win a championship for the Vols. I'm completely convinced after watching one week 1 high school football game last night in its entirety.
Speaking of Tennessee, Chad, I saw you post this about an hour ago. Tennessee should play Arian Carter and dare the NCAA to do something about it. The guy received $400 for a flight and paid it back. Meanwhile, guys are recording sacks in NFL preseason games and are eligible immediately. 2 questions. 1, help us make sense of whatever the hell is going on in the NCAA right now. And 2, if Tennessee were to take you up on that proclamation and play Arian Carter, what do you think the NCAA would actually do?
I think they'd try to say Tennessee was ineligible and lost those 2 games is what they would attempt to do. I don't know how they could with a straight face. And I guarantee you Tennessee could fight it in court and show that he was, in fact, eligible and it was fine. And they're not going to make them ineligible for that game. I think it's on Tennessee now with everything going on. I really do. If they sit him, it's a Tennessee decision. They're playing by the rules way too much in a sport that has no rules. So that, to me, it's on Tennessee if they decide not to play the guy, not the NCAA anymore, because I think it'd be foolish not to play him, because just like I wrote, you got guys who are in the NFL who are actively trying to get cut from their rosters right now so they can join a camp for college football, because they know they're going to get paid more money to go back and play in college. And guys, you got college coaches all over the place, and I've talked to some people about this. They are going to be actively scouting. There's going to be scouts in the department of every SEC team watching preseason games this weekend to see who's going to drop from teams that they can take that have a 5th year of eligibility. Mark my word, this is happening all over the place.
So, Chad,
this weekend.
as much as we know this is wrong in a sense, and when you're talking sports, like that's just wrong. Like going to get a guy that has already spent time with the NFL team in any capacity, and I'm not even talking making a roster, but they played in preseason games. You know it's wrong. Are they just going to continue to do this until somebody tells them they can't anymore? Because none of them really likes this.
No, they're going to keep doing it. Hey, look, everybody, it's all self-serving right now. The players are doing it, and I understand why. That they don't have a future in the NFL. The guys we're talking about, most of them, they know they got a cup of coffee at best. So I'm
specifically talking about the coaches, really, because the players, they're going to do what they're going to do. It's the coaches that, because there always has to be a coach or a program that allows these guys to come back.
They have to say, we're going to take it, even if it means we got to take one kid somewhere along the line and ask him to leave.
Yeah, look, Tom Izzo can stand.
Hey, stay off my boy Izzo, man.
I'm not going to. No, I'm paying him a compliment. Okay. Tom Izzo has the clout to stand up and say, "I'm not going to do it. This is ridiculous. I'll call out coaches that go and get dudes who played in Europe or played in the G League and all this, or that I'm not going to do it. You know, we can't do it as a sport." Dan Hurley, I think, can say that too, having won national titles. If you are a coach, though, in the SEC, let me pose the question to you guys. If you're a coach in the SEC, and this is now allowed because of a court ruling, and there are going to be other SEC rivals that go and get – we know that LSU is going to go get guys. We know that other programs are going to go get guys. Let's say someone goes out and they add 3 difference makers that were in an NFL camp that have another year of eligibility. Let's say that team is Arkansas, okay? Let's say Tennessee goes on the road to Arkansas and they lose by a field goal, in large part because some receiver dropped down from the NFL to Arkansas and had 140 yards receiving. And then a defensive back had a pick 6. And those are the 2 difference makers. Do you think Tennessee will cut Josh Heupel slack if he didn't add one of those pro players, if he had a chance to? Do you think that they're going to stand up and say, boy, at least our coach stands for something?
No.
And didn't go out and did it?
That's the problem.
No, they're going to be like, why didn't you go out and get it?
Sit there and say, we're not doing what it takes to win. I've seen it, guys, on social media already today. If Tennessee doesn't go out and add 4 or 5 of these guys, we don't care about winning the way other programs do.
Just means
that is
more.
going to be the reaction to it.
But I thought it just meant more with all SEC teams, regardless of who it was.
And that's what it's got to be. That's my point. Like if one SEC team is going to do it, DMase, then everybody's going to try to do it. I really believe that. I think they're all going to take anybody they can if they feel like that player is a plug-and-play guy who can come right in and help their team win SEC football games or Big Ten football games or whatever the case may be. If you were a top-level program, they're going to do it because they know come November, if they lose a game they were supposed to win, and that team has 3 of these guys on it, and you have none, and it's a close game, and your fan base sees it as you didn't do what was necessary, they're not going to cut you any slack.
So with that being said, Chad, you're talking about guys potentially coming out of basically the NFL to play in college, and say if a UT doesn't, reach and try to get one of these guys, and they're ultimately a reason why they may lose to a team because they may have gotten a guy they had a chance to get. And with the depth, as we always say, the depth of the SEC, is 8-5 enough for Heupel in this program?
I mean, I would have to see what the 8 were. I always say, Hutton always says it too, and I love it. It's not if you lose, it's how you lose. I think in the SEC or in college football, it's also who you lost to. You know, like if you upset someone and maybe you lost some of the toss-up games, but you have that big signature win, maybe you feel better about an 8-4 or 8-5 at the end of the year after a bowl game. If you lose to Vandy for a second straight year and you drop another couple games you thought going into the season you were going to win and you don't get it and you're get 7 or 8 wins. Every end of the year record, I think DMase feels a little bit different based on all that. I'll just say, first off, I don't like any of this. Like, I'm like 95% of sports fans. I think it's ridiculous that guys are leaving the NFL to go back to college with all these court rulings. I think it's absurd, and it shines a spotlight on the absurdity of college football and college sports right now. All I'm saying is I also understand from the coaches and player perspective that your job is to do whatever you can to win games. And if someone is getting an upper hand on you by doing this, coaches are going to try to level the field and do it themselves. Tennessee themselves, guys, just this past week, they added a 5th-year guy who got an exemption because of this new rule from Tennessee Tech, who had exhausted his eligibility. They lost 2 defensive backs, Idris Farouk being one of them for the season. They added a safety from Tennessee Tech who had already completed his time there, just right down the road in Cookeville. That's college football in 2026. You start losing bodies in camp, you go out and pull someone up from the farm system in the OVC, and boom, they're on your campus and they're ready to roll.
And Chad, I think the term I would use is like self-preservation. Like you mentioned Izzo and certain coaches that can stand on principle, but they have the bubble, right? They have insulation if you've got the pelts on the wall, right? If you won, but most coaches are self-preservation. So their morals might be one thing, their ethics, but I think that instinct of I have to win or else they're going to move on from me. That's what triggers this. And it pulls other coaches into that fray so it becomes common.
Yeah. And look, I think those guys, if they start to lose, they haven't really lost at a big clip. The ones I mentioned, Izzo, Hurley, they've won pretty much every single season. If they start to lose and they don't like the way it's going and they're still around coaching, guess what they're going to do? Probably the stuff they hate doing right now.
Adapt.
They're going to say, well I got to do it.
Baseball, Tim Corbin, he's doing that. I don't think he wanted to have to do it this way. I think he wanted to stay with his formula. He thought that was the best way, and he thought he could maybe win staying with that, but he's had to adjust. I think that's a great example of what we're talking about.
Exactly right. And I think you can stand on principle all you want, but if you are a competitive person and you know that you are judged by winning and losing, you eventually, even you can cry and moan about it all you want, but you are going to do what is necessary to keep up with everyone else. Nick Saban's a great example. Nick Saban was crying about the speed of the game and how it was hurting players and it was unsafe. And what was he doing behind the scenes the whole time? He was developing an offense or hiring someone that could speed it up because he knew exactly what hurt his great defenses at Alabama, and he started playing the game also. He wasn't going to sit back and say, we're going to be 3 yards in a cloud of dust and play slow. No, he was going to do what was working in the sport eventually, even if he didn't like it. But really, he didn't like it because it's the one thing his team couldn't prepare for as well. So he hated it. And then he started talking about injuries and everything else. But the whole time, he was doing the exact same thing that he was complaining about. Why? Because Nick Saban, even after all the winning he had done and the national titles and everything, he wanted to win more national titles. That's how these guys are wired. And you're right, Willie, especially those that have to worry about self-preservation, that know that they could be on the hot seat at any time. They're going to do what's necessary to make sure they're giving themselves a chance to win and win big.
Chad, I read an article, and we're going to talk about it on our show here pretty soon, about the inner workings of the transfer portal and the madness of the quarterback position in a short period of time. And it tracks Bo Pribula, who was at Missouri. For those that maybe don't remember the name, they might have heard the name, but he was Missouri's quarterback. He got hurt at Vanderbilt, and that kind of sunk Missouri's season. Vanderbilt came back, won the game, and then he hit the portal, and he visited, what was it, Adam, 8 schools in 6 days?
8 days on the road, 6
Wow.
college visits,
8 days, 6 schools.
more than 6,000 miles traveled across the country and back.
I mean, it's complete madness. I think most college fans who are casual probably would never really be concern themselves unless they had a son or a nephew or a relative or a friend that has gone through it. But just to read about the process, and I didn't. So this is what I want to ask you, Chad. Pribula was on the Tennessee campus. One of those stops along the ride was to Tennessee. And in the moment in time, Trinidad Chambliss had been ruled ineligible before he got the injunction. So all of these things are moving in real time, and all of these guys have to decide where they're going. And there were cases where Pribula and other quarterbacks would get a call from a school, say, come visit. We're interested in you. But they didn't even literally have time to get to the campus before they either had to make the decision or the other team or the school had already signed a different quarterback. It's beyond speed dating, the madness of it.
And Willie, I'm willing to bet that someone paid more than $400 in flights and travel expenses for Pribula to go on all these things that Arion Carter got paid by one agent and then paid him back for one visit to try to go pro. It's crazy. And I remember when Pribula was on Tennessee's campus, it was right around the time Tennessee was trying to figure out if Sam Leavitt was going to go to LSU or Tennessee. And so not just the waiting game of guys being eligible, but the musical chairs of, well, we can get this guy to campus. There was a lot of rumors about Brendan Sorsby in Knoxville. His brother, I think, is a high school coach in the Knoxville area, and people were connecting him from Cincinnati to Tennessee. And Tennessee dodged the bullet with that one. Where he ends up at Texas Tech, and then everything else broke there. It's crazy to think about trying to get the right guy on campus to commit right away, but if they don't, similar to Tennessee and Sam Leavitt, who chose Lane Kiffin at LSU, then where do you go next, and do you really want that guy? And, this guy also needs to know about this other player over at Duke or wherever the other school is, because that may be the next spot they're visiting. It's both exciting and it's total madness. I mean, the college football transfer portal season now is in many ways kind of like NBA free agency. It can be more exciting than some of the weeks of the season when you get to that end of that season and that mad dash to go add guys, especially quarterbacks.
Let me ask you this. Alabama, I want to get your take on them because that's a big game for Tennessee. And it just came out. They're going to each wear the solid color for the first time since what, Adam? 1970? Yeah. It's always fun to watch those teams play, but that could be a big swing game for Tennessee if they can come up with that win. What's the matchup look like with Alabama in your mind?
Yeah, I think it's a huge one for both. I think Keelan Russell is going to be the starter for Alabama. I don't think they've named one yet, but I feel like everything I've read is kind of like between him and Austin Mack. It's sort of like George McIntyre, Faison Brandon. Russell's the younger player. He's also the more dynamic player. He's a little bit better of a runner than the veteran guy. When I say veteran, McIntyre's been there one more year than Brandon, but it's similar in that quarterback battle between both. You just know with Tennessee, you're going to have a young guy. You at least have the option for a more veteran guy at Alabama. I think it's going to be Russell as the starter. Alabama's very talented. I think that Alabama and Kalen DeBoer are in a similar situation to Josh Heupel in Tennessee, where it's kind of good, not great from a fan base standpoint of what they see. Can you get those big wins? Josh Heupel's 2-0 against Alabama in Knoxville, which is crazy when you think about all those Tennessee coaches who couldn't beat Nick Saban. And now to see a coach that is undefeated against the rival in Knoxville. They get him in Knoxville again this year. I think it's a huge matchup, big swing game, honestly, Willie, for both those programs. I see both Tennessee and Alabama as possible back-end playoff teams. I think top to bottom from a roster talent standpoint, Tennessee is as good as they've ever been, probably better. There's just a question at quarterback. I saw Heather Dinich going nuts because Tennessee was ranked. And I'm thinking, first off, it's 2 5-star quarterbacks that are battling out for the job. I know they haven't picked one yet. But second, have you seen some of the talent on Tennessee's team? I think this is more future pros than they've ever had under Josh Heupel. And I think that Bama's recruited at a very good level too. So I'm with you, Willie. I think that's a big one for both those teams and a big one for both those coaches to continue to prove they can win monster games.
Chad Withrow has been our guest on DMase, Vingan and Donick. He joins us every Friday at 4 o'clock. Chad, as always, a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
By the way, the uniforms, the all colors with the orange and crimson, beautiful. When you look at those side by side, I put a list of the other ones I want to see. Duke in North Carolina, dark blue, baby blue would be perfect. And the guys, the sneaky one that jumped out, Miami green versus Florida State burgundy.
Ooh.
on the same field would be a work of art. I'll leave you to ponder with that over
Yeah,
the weekend.
good. Now you got a problem if you have a black and white TV. It'd be tough to tell those apart.
Yeah, if you're colorblind or have issues
Yes.
with that, you're gonna have a real
Yeah.
problem.
Could be.
It's
It's gonna be
a
tough.
problem. Yeah.
Remember the dress? No one could tell what color it was. Everybody had a different opinion
That's
on
right.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's gonna be like that.
Thank you, Chad.
Thanks, guys.
615-737-1025. Coming up next, Willie touched on it. A story in ESPN detailing the trials and tribulations of transfer portal quarterbacks. We'll get to that coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. DMase, Vingen, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Every now and then, Willie Donick surprises
Yeah, he
me.
throws out a little, in too deep. The movie. Did you see the movie, Willie?
No, I did not see the movie.
That's a long time. That's where the song came from. It was
Deep
on
Cover.
the soundtrack. Yeah, Deep Cover. It was on the soundtrack for the movie Deep Cover. So it was a pretty good movie.
Here is a question I need answered, though. The theme of the day is deep, to talk about the depth of the SEC. Did Sum 41 In Too Deep make an appearance on this list?
No.
Oh, then I don't like it anymore.
Wah, 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 wah.
Come on.
Hey, when it's your turn to have a musical theme,
You could put 42 deep
you
in.
put 42 deep in there.
No, it's Sum 41 is the name of the band.
Some 41.
In Too Deep is the name of the song.
Oh,
Yes,
In
Sum
Too Deep.
41. You guys are so old. Come on.
I already
Sum
played you a
41.
song that's called In Too Deep.
Yeah.
Well, you can play another one.
No, yeah, I could, but I didn't
yeah.
Well,
because I had to get my guys. I had to get Deep Cover. I had to get
Yeah.
the Snoop Dogg and
He got to
Dr.
get
Dre.
the songs in that he likes, man.
okay,
Calm down,
okay,
calm
all
down.
right, okay, all right.
All right,
All right.
All right, sunshine.
That's
Princess.
That's Parker. Parker is Sunshine, right? You're Sunshine.
I guess so.
Hey,
Connor
Sunshine.
just started calling me that, so it kind of stuck.
He does kind of look like Sunshine from Remember the
Yeah,
Titans.
See, I'm
yeah,
not
he got a
opposed
little
to it.
sunshine to him.
It's one of my favorite movies. I'm not opposed to it.
The shorter hair sunshine.
Shorter hair.
When he had
yeah.
to cut his hair off.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, when he had to cut his hair.
Those locks ain't growing back.
So, Willie, you talked about the story with Chad Withrow. Max Olson of ESPN.com published a story yesterday with the headline, College Football's Mad 2-Week Scramble to Land a Transfer Portal Quarterback. And it features, among other quarterbacks, Bo Pribula, as you mentioned, who started 10 games in the SEC for Missouri last season. You also mentioned with Chad Withrow, Pribula suffered an injury in the Missouri game against Vanderbilt, which really seemed to turn the tide in the Commodores' favor in that game. But as Max Olson details in the story, Pribula spent 8 days on the road with 6 college visits and traveled more than 6,000 miles across the country and back. Here are the schools he visited in that stretch: Virginia Tech, Nebraska, Washington, Georgia Tech, Tennessee, and UVA. And it's a really interesting look. It's at the meat market. That is the transfer portal,
Yes.
specifically if you are a transfer portal quarterback.
Reading the article, it was like when you're out in a garden and you see a rock and you lift up the rock and there's all of this stuff going on. Like there's insects and worms and stuff like crawling all under that rock. And you're like, everybody's like, why'd you lift that rock up? It looked so nice and peaceful how it was. And so I think a lot of college football fans aren't worried about how this process works. But if you are a parent of one of these quarterbacks, because this is the norm now, that's the thing about reading it that dawned on me, is that it is normal every summer that this happens. There is a musical chairs at quarterback. There's quite a bit of money at stake. There's a lot of teams out there looking for quarterbacks, and they have a finite amount of time to do it. So following Pribula and then reading about some of the other quarterbacks in this same boat and how this was working was fascinating to me. And Derek, I want to ask you to compare that and picture yourself as a college student, 20, 21 years old, with an agent that's you're trying to get information from. You're going through this process. And this is how crazy it is. A quarterback sometimes has a choice of, and this would be other positions too, I would think. I could take an offer without even going to the college to look at it. Because there were instances where Pribula, he's like, okay, they want me to come over and visit Nebraska or Virginia Tech. He ends up visiting 5 schools before he figures on the one he's going to do, and that's Virginia. Couple times he got there and the team had already signed another quarterback. He literally didn't have time to get to the campus before the decision had to be made, and it was too late. So let's contrast that with when you were a free agent. We won't talk about how you became a free agent because it was not a happy day. It's
cutthroat.
Nashville. But you had a couple of choices. You had the Ravens and you had the Patriots. Give me your timetable of how that process went.
It wasn't as rushed as as it is in college, because it seemed like college they have a 2-week period.
Yeah.
And they have to get everything like visits, all this other stuff. And they typically want you to sign a contract. Soon they get you in the building, they want you to sign a contract. And NFL teams does that as well. But I think there's a little bit more of because this is a long-term, a lot of these, at least for me, my free agency was a long-term thing, meaning they wasn't signing me to a year contract or a 2-year contract. So it was, okay, we can, I've been cut. I can kind of sit back, talk with my agent, because everybody else, around the league is getting cut right around this time too. You sit back, you talk with your agent. There are teams out there that would love for you to play for them, but are they willing to pay the money that you believe you're worth? So there's not this rush because, in the NFL, you're signing long-term contracts. If everybody was signing a 1-year contract, then I think there would be a rush to, I need to get this guy because more than likely I'm only going to have him for for a year. So I got to hurry up and go out there and get him because I'm constricted in my time because I only got a week or two. No, you got time to take all your visits, how many visits you want to take in the NFL, and sit down and really decide on, is this not only the team I want to be on, but it's the city? Because you're not in this bubble of college where, you only have to interact with so many people. When you're in the NFL, you got a life after that. It's not just all football. So there's a lot of things that goes into signing a contract. Do you like the city? Is the team on an upward mobility? How is the quarterback? How is the offensive coordinator? What are they paying you? So there are a lot of other things you got to sit back and think about. So you have days to do it. But it seemed like they're not giving you days.
No.
They're giving you hours.
Sometimes not even that. Now you were 30 years old.
Yes, I was 30, and I took it was like a month, close to a month, where I had an opportunity because my kids were still in. Bailey was in preschool. DJ wasn't in school just yet, so we had time to kind of sit back and sort of decide. So all of it happened within a month time period, but I only took 2 visits.
But you had time.
Yes.
So you're talking about a month. Can you imagine going through that at age 20 instead of age 30?
No.
Like, how would you, how you had wisdom at age 30? You had been a pro for a long time. I can't imagine what this is like for kids and their parents or their families, because there's an agent involved that you probably haven't been involved. How long had you been with your agent?
I had been with my agent at
30.
That point, 5 years, I believe.
Okay. So
5 years.
Bo Pribula maybe hired this guy going into the portal. I don't know if he had this relationship with this guy before, but you've got so much riding on the agent and the communications. It has got to be a mess. And hopefully it works out for a lot of these guys. I have to believe it doesn't work out when you don't have time to really think it through, because so many things could go wrong when one guy called it a DJ Lagway, who was at Florida. He's now at Baylor, I think, is where he ended up. He was like, this is like speed dating. But a lot can go wrong when you do speed dating. We've all watched the TV shows. So why is it supposed to? Why do we think it's going to work well here?
They don't care if it works, because again, a lot of this, the genesis of a lot of this is, all of this is, they should have, before they said, okay, the rules are going to change. This is what's going to happen. It's going to be the NIL world will open up pretty soon here. But in the meantime, we need to put guardrails. We need to really build a structure where this thing works for everybody, more importantly for the student athlete. But they didn't do it because, again, it was the arrogance. Like, they had years ago to do. I mean, they had a chance to do this when I was in college because it was talked about then. We saw what Northwestern went through, and they're, trying to build a union, and the NCAA wagged their finger at them and said, no, we're not having that. All for it happened anyway, 7-8 years later, probably a little bit less than that. So it's not going to get better. It's going to be even more stressful for these kids when they're maneuvering from college, from university to university, and they only have a small window.
Imagine being, Adam, the coach, whether it's the head coach or the offensive coordinator, the recruiting coordinator. You're trying to make this quick, fast decision. There's pressure. We got to have a great quarterback. We have to get one of these guys or else we're not going to be any good. And you have to make this decision. Who's the guy we want? Is it Prevola? Is it this guy? Is it that guy? And we've got to make this decision in a few hours. And there's all these variables happening in real time that are affecting this decision.
Part of
The
this
stress has got to be off the charts.
Part of this story from Max Olson talks about Bo Pribula going to Nebraska, and he was in the facility at the same time as Anthony Calandria, another transfer portal quarterback, I believe, from UNLV. And Nebraska, the staffers in Nebraska tried their hardest to make sure that the two of them did not cross paths. But Calandria was like, I saw him. And while Pribula was talking to coaches, the Cornhuskers secured the commitment from Calandria, and they had to tell Pribula, sorry,
Because there's no rules.
well, one of the coaches, let me find the quote, off the Nebraska offensive coordinator, Dana Holgerson, said,
Right.
quote, it was awkward, but how else do you do it? You got to get him ASAP.
yeah.
You have to make that decision because if you wait in the portal, you're cooked. If you wait an hour, you might be cooked.
that is what's happening.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
So all of the things that you would like to do to be honorable, to be professional, to be ethical, you're forced to compromise all of that. Can you imagine being the staffers? Adam, we're on the second floor. Make sure Bo stays on the third floor. I've got the other guy on the second floor. We're gonna offer him. Don't offer Bro anything yet until you get my signal. Like there's got to be walkie-talkies and texts and everybody. I mean, and they still saw each other. Crazy.
It just shows you like how crazy this level of sport it's become, meaning the collegiate level. It's become something that I don't even think, even those that were fighting for sort of name, image, and likeness 20 years ago, I don't think they ever thought it would be something like this, because now, again, it's just the wild, wild west. We're treating y'all as if y'all are objects, and we're just going to move y'all across the chessboard, and we're going to bring you in, and we're going to hope to bring you in behind him as he's leaving out, so y'all won't see each other. It's just a cloak and dagger. It's like, this is what we've gotten to as a level of football, not professional, because even professional, this don't go on in the professional ranks.
Yes, this is supposed to be college years.
Exactly.
Where you're having fun. You're thinking about keg parties and
what you gonna do after the
hanging
game?
out, where am I going to hang out after practice and check out the campus? Where am I going to be hanging out? They don't get to do any of that stuff.
Nah. Your college life is gone.
You're sacrificing all of that.
615-737-1025 will take your reaction. Plus, Nick Saban, once again, chiming in on the depth. Funny quote from Nick Saban. We'll get to that coming up next. 615-737-1025. A reminder that during the 5 o'clock hour, specifically around 5:15, 5:20, thereabouts, we will start Ask DMase, as we do normally on Fridays. But here's the catch. If you want a pair of tickets to see Ole Miss versus Louisville at Nissan Stadium early next month in the Music City kickoff game, you need to participate in Ask DMase. The person who asks the best question to Derek Mason, as chosen by Derek Mason, will win those tickets. So if you want them, you got to participate. 615-737-1025. That's coming up at around 5:15, 5:20. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. DMase, Vingan and Donick, 102.5 The Game. This song is dedicated to one Charles McCube.
My man Ricky back there too.
He is?
Yeah, Ricky's back
Rick
there.
Barrett back in the house. Yeah.
Rick Merritt, shout out
The
to
Ricky?
guns. Shout out to
The-
fingers.
The one and only.
Ricky, where you at, man?
He came in
Come
like
back
a
through.
hurricane. He
Yeah.
came in like a hurricane and then just busted right out.
Boy, he had the biggest smile on his face because he and his homeboy are about to hit the road.
They're going to Vegas. The two
He
of
and his
them.
homeboy are about to hit the road. He had the biggest smile on his face.
They
Mother-
can't
Mothers-
contain themselves.
Mothers, lock up your daughters. Chase McCabe and Ricky Merritt on the loose, on the
Chase got a
strip.
girlfriend.
this
Chase got a
weekend.
girlfriend. Chase got a girlfriend. Yeah, he said he's he's gonna have fun, but that's it.
You know, Chase has that animal magnetism. You know, he can't help it.
He's like, no, I
He
got
may have
to
a girl.
NFL 2.0, then when y'all play everybody else, y'all should just mollywop them. But y'all don't.
I
And there you
mean,
go.
the ACC did have the 33rd team
Yeah.
last year.
Right,
How did
yeah.
how did that go for North Carolina? Not good. But I digress.
Yeah, so that's again.
and Miami
I
didn't
know
win
it's
their
a-
league. Like Miami didn't even win the ACC last year.
Who did?
but they
Duke.
beat- okay, you had a team.
ACC champions.
They didn't win an ACC, but they beat 2 SEC teams in the playoffs.
Right. What they did in the playoffs is not
That's
the question.
that's
It's
what
how
really
you
matters.
Get to how you get the bid.
But that's what really matters, right? It took
at
you a while to
Miami was
answer that. Yeah, that's
Miami
what really
was
matters.
a legitimate good team, but
Okay,
you should reward teams that play a tougher schedule. That is
If you
that's my
can't win
beef.
in your tough schedules, why should I? Okay, I should reward you just because you play a tough schedule and you 7-5. Why should I reward you for that? Or 8-4? Why should I reward you that? 9-3? Why should I reward you for that?
I think for all of time
Mhm.
in football, when people vote for the top 25, and I think this is still embedded in the way the committee looks, is that you still have a shiny metal object in that when you look at the team's record,
Mhm.
it's always been record. Where college basketball, the committee, they look at strength of schedule. A
Mhm.
19-13 as opposed to a 22-9. That doesn't matter. You don't look at that. You look at how the quality wins, and you look at the strength of schedule, and that's the determining factor. I would like to see more of that in the college football committee.
I guarantee you, once they open this thing up to 24, you will not hear this argument ever again by the SEC. Ever. They won't be talking about depth of the conference. They won't. They're only talking about depth of the conference now because, one, they haven't won a national championship in the last 5 years. And then two,
It's only been 3.
well, 3 years, but still.
I like how you're exaggerating for your point.
Can I chime in right here?
Yeah.
Please.
Still.
So to Willy's point about Miami, and I think this, I applaud you for the nuance in the argument. Let's say I take the Super Bowl favorites this year, the LA Rams, and I drop them in the Sun Belt. They are going to obliterate everybody on their schedule. They're going to go undefeated. And just because they played a weak strength of schedule, that doesn't change the fact that they're the LA Rams. But also at the same time, let's take a James Madison who went 11-1 last year, and the team they lost to is Louisville. They lost by 2 touchdowns, and their strength of schedule was in the hundreds. Texas's 9-3 is more impressive than James Madison's 11-1. So one of the biggest lies in college football is you are what your record says you are, which is not the case.
Well, you're talking about.
I agree with that.
Yeah, but you're talking about two extremes. You're talking about a Texas team and a John Madison team. They are no way on no earth on the same plane. You know, from facilities to players to NIL money, they're not. So when you're comparing those two, yes, their role to a championship is a little bit tougher than James Madison because James Madison is in another conference it's not like comparing the Big Ten to the SEC. Comparing the Big Ten and the SEC, I think there's more of a comparable to it because you figure at least the top half of each conference, they do invest. Some teams a little bit more, Texas, teams like that, but they do invest the money that they need to invest in to have a team that's capable of winning a national championship. Whereas I forgot what conference is James Madison in.
Sun Belt.
So the Sun Belt, no one in the Sun Belt, including James Madison, they don't have the funds and everything to put toward their program. So maybe James Madison has a little bit more than everybody else, but you don't see that a lot of times in the SEC. The SEC, everybody, at least the top half has the same amount of money to operate in. James Madison may be the top guy or the top team as far as revenue and what they can give their players in the Sun Belt.
But what's more important? I mean, James Madison's best win was Washington State by 5 points. Texas beat Texas A&M last year, but yet they went 9-3. And that's the whole reason the SEC moved to 9 conference games because they thought that the committee was going to value strength of schedule more. But they're not. We all know they're not.
Well, they may, and because it changes just about every year. 1 year strength of schedule, something to something else.
So that is humans
exactly
deciding. So that I think is at the crux. Now that they're going 9, will people look at 9-3 differently than they have in
because
the past?
you are right.
I don't think they are.
They went
I don't think they are.
They went to
I'll believe it
9
when I
because
see it.
of that. Because they thought, strength of schedule. Let's do the 9th game within the conference. and people, they will count that for us. Now it seems like at least last year they counted it against them.
Because if Indiana, with their strength of schedule, goes 10-2 this year, and you have Oklahoma who goes 9-3, but they play a much tougher strength of schedule, we all know the bid's going to Indiana over Oklahoma because of the record.
That's how it's always been.
615-737.
That's why I keep talking about the depth.
615-737-1025. We'll get to that. On the other side, we'll revisit our recap of the Titans joint practice today with the Seattle Seahawks. Plus, we'll look ahead to the preseason game on Sunday. And I have a question about Cam Ward and the preseason game, which I'm going to feel silly even asking the question, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Hey, if you've lived in Middle Tennessee area for any time, then you've seen how wild our weather can be, from winter storms, tornadoes to flooding. We've seen it all. Like many of you, the winter storm earlier this year caught me unprepared. I lost power for 7 days. That's 7 days out of my house, in a hotel, 7 days worrying about whether I was going to come home to some busted pipes or not. That's when I realized being prepared isn't optional. I will be ready the next time a weather emergency hits. So I started looking for whole home generators and found Tri-State Water Power in there. They've been in business for over 30 years, specialized in generators for more than half of those, which is all great. But the reason I chose to reach out to them and then ultimately go with them was because of the reviews and the confidence other homeowners shared about their experience with Tri-State Water Power. And then when Tri-State came to my home, they did a free on-site assessment and made sure the generator fit the home for me and my family's needs. The thing I appreciated the most is they didn't try to oversell me, just straight answers. Everything is turnkey. They do everything. They install, from installations to long-term services. If something ever goes wrong, I'm not calling around, which I hate to do, people. I'm making one call, and that's the Tri-State Water Power and Air, because they've got me covered. And that's the kind of relationship I want. And I know that's the kind of relationship you want. So look, the weather hasn't been slowing down. It's either been raining or it's been, hot as fish grease out there. So be ready. Call Tri-State Water Power and Air today to protect you and your home and your family. So you can find them at tristatewhylewait.com. That's tristatewhylewait.com.
DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, Parker Kelley here with you. Connor Newt preparing for some high school football coverage coming up right after our program. How can you not be romantic about high school football, right?
I'm hitting me a game tonight.
Which game?
Innsworth.
All right.
Yes.
Did Tim get you a good parking spot?
No. I'm gonna park at my homeboy's house. Because they live right across the street from the
I
school.
thought
So I'm gonna park at his
Tim
house.
was getting you a front row seat and the prime parking spot.
Nah, I don't want to. Getting in is not the problem. The parking space isn't the problem. It's getting out of there. So I'd rather be right across the street from the school, and then I walk over and go.
Game management.
Exactly.
You've
Absolutely.
got your exit strategy.
You are
Absolutely.
a humble man, Derek Mason. I see many of your old teammates at Titans practice on the other side of the rope line, where the employees and the coaches and the cool people can be. But Derek, you even said to me today, I want to be with my people.
I like being with my peeps, man.
I want to be with my people.
We got to do a show. I can't be standing all the way over there across the rope while y'all sitting there. No, I want to be with my boys, man.
Brainstorming.
Exactly. We're talking it.
Yeah.
We're
We're shopping it.
That's
As
right.
Floyd Reese said, we're talking ball.
Exactly.
Hey, one other thing about Ensworth. Your competitor in next week's Silly Underdog Picks.
NBA.
Sanders, yes.
Chris Sanders.
Well, you've got NBA Chris Sanders. Also, Hal Gill has a son named Talon who will be making his high school football debut
Let's
tonight
go, Talon.
for the Ensworth Tigers.
Oh,
Okay,
as
let's
a
go,
ninth
Talon.
grader. And so Talon is a excellent all-around athlete. He has played a lot of hockey, as you imagine. But Tim Hasselbeck, very smart.
So Hal should be there tonight.
Oh, Hal will be there
Okay,
tonight.
well,
Look,
make
look
sure I
for
look
skills.
at- I'm
You
gonna
guys
look-
can talk
yeah,
trash
absolutely.
about next week.
You can't
But see,
miss him.
I
He's
hope
about
so,
10 feet
because
tall.
I don't like sitting in the stands. I like sitting along the gate,
Yeah.
standing along the gate, because when I'm watching, and I only like maybe a couple of people around me that just, but they don't talk no more than what I talk. They're not just
Right.
sitting there yapping. They just talk. It's kind of casual. We're watching the game, talking about the game, but then we're talking. So, will I see Hal along the gate, or is Hal a stands guy?
I don't know. This is
Okay,
Talon's first game, so we'll have to see.
All
You
right,
have
I'm
to
gonna see
scout
what
out.
Hal. Yeah, I'm gonna
Report
scout it out.
back.
Absolutely.
Report back
Talon
on
is
how
built.
Hal watches the game.
Talon is built a lot like his dad. Tim Hasselbeck was smart enough to say, "Hey, I like this athlete. Has he ever played football? He didn't play a lot of football
That's what the coaches
until
do,
middle
man.
school, and like you said, Derek, and you didn't play high school football until when?
11th grade.
11th grade.
Mhm.
So Talon's still picking it up, but he's a natural. He's only in 9th grade, but keep an eye on that guy.
But that's what always happens. Coaches see a kid walking through the hallway. Kid, you need to be on a football field. Can you play? That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Can you play?
Also, shout out to all of my fellow band members. High school football. It's not just about the players.
Yes.
It's about the musical entertainment and the halftime show. So shout out to all of my fellow band campers out there
Band
sitting in the
camp.
bleachers, playing those fight songs and all of those pop hits. Okay. I see you.
Can't do it without you.
Tonight is about you as well. Not just the players on the field, because you'll be on the field during halftime, entertaining the masses.
Absolutely.
So shout out to all of the band geeks out there. I see you. I'm one of you. I see you. You're just as important as the quarterback. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Okay. Speaking of football, the Tennessee Titans practiced today against the Seattle Seahawks. I think we all agreed. A solid showing from the local professional football team. We asked the question, did the Titans hold their own against the defending Super Bowl champions? And we all said yes. Now, who the hell knows what it means long term, but at least the Titans weren't outclassed on the practice field today. On Sunday, the Titans will play those same Seahawks in the preseason, prime time. And this is a question that I think is very silly to ask. And I know it's silly, but I'm still going to ask it after Parker Kelley plays this clip from the other day, I think on NFL Live, of friend of the show, Dan Orlovsky, talking about Cam Ward.
As disappointed as I was out of anybody's tape in preseason week 1, I'd say number one, Cam's played enough football in the league already to have cleaner eyes. This is a sail concept up top. When he gets that safety at the bottom of the screen to rotate and those defenders lift, this should be an easy throw to that corner flat end. Instead, it's a scramble, and I think he gets 1 yard on this. Cleaner eyes, that ball should go there 100 out of 100 times. Number two, no easy misses. It's hard in this league to play quarterback. This is an RPO that nickel fires. That means throw the bubble. He's wide open. This is Wan'Dale Robinson. That's an easy throw. You can't miss this. The third one, are we being competitive or careless? The defense has won the rep here. Everybody's covered. Competitive or careless? Because careless, hold on to the football, run backwards, try to float the ball away. That's a intentional grounding penalty. It's preseason. I'm not overreacting, but you do want to see much improved play in week 2 from Cam Ward to at least spring this offense into the regular season. Because if he takes a step, Tennessee is going to be a very competitive football team, but they got to get him to play better.
So that was Dan Orlovsky on NFL Live earlier this week. The most disappointing tape he watched in week 1 of the preseason. And we went over Cam Ward's performance in that preseason game backwards and forwards last week and early this week. So here's the silly question that I'm about to ask all of you at 615-737-1025 and all of you in this room. How much pressure is on Cam Ward in this preseason game? Like we talked about this earlier as well. I know it's the preseason, but it's going to be a nationally televised game. A lot of eyes on Cam Ward that aren't usually on Cam Ward. They've probably heard the criticisms of his performance last week. And I think it would be of his best interest, to have a much, much better performance. So as silly as it is to say, Derek Mason, is there pressure on a quarterback in a preseason game? Is there pressure on this quarterback in this preseason game?
I think it's a sense of urgency. I'm not sure, the pressure that he may be feeling. I know the sense of urgency is there for him to, not to have the same game that he had last week. The sense of urgency is to get this offense, flowing and moving like they were today, where he was basically on task with everything that he was doing, with the exception of 2 passes there. He stayed with the timing of the pass route. So that in itself, that's like, we got to show more sense of urgency, because it's not just Cam, but it is Cam. But everyone has to show a sense of urgency when they go out there. I don't think the pressure is always, and I think this is what we sort of miss in all of this. The pressure is going to be there no matter what.
Yes.
It's there because he was the number 1 pick in the draft. So everything that he does, good or bad, will be talked about. It's about the sense of urgency, taking that, that development path and taking it and making it a little bit faster, but at a pace that you're but doing it in a way that you can understand it. That's why I said with him, his processing has to be better. That it has to happen. That's a sense of urgency. Going from, your first target to your second target to your third, that's a sense of urgency. Like, I got to get across the board because I don't have, 3 or 4 seconds to hold on to the ball to try to find an open guy running around. No, I got to get from, number 1 to number 2, number 3, and then either check it down or throw it away. So to me, it's just a sense of urgency for him, because the pressure, no matter good or bad, it will be on him, because the pressure with a number 1 overall pick is to win a Super Bowl, nothing less. So if you're not winning a Super Bowl, even if you're going to the playoffs every year, there's still the pressure of you winning a Super Bowl. So I don't think he has any more pressure than he had last week, the week before that, last year. I think now there needs to be this sense of urgency. Like, you need to start picking this stuff up.
And I've never observed Cam Ward as anything but a guy that's always going to be pushing himself. Like, I don't think he needs the urgency to do well in this game to get him to prepare better or get him to work harder. He is a hard worker. He's not going to sink or swim based on his work ethic. He is going to put in the time. He's there early. He is dedicated. He wants to be that guy. So all of this stuff about does he need to do well in this game, that's all outside noise. I don't think it's hey, he needs a kick in the butt. He needs to have that. He's got the sense of urgency, I think.
It's just staying on task.
Right. And
Yeah,
it's much
with the
more of
offense.
how do we feel as media? How do we feel as fans? Like watching.
Yeah, but I think ultimately that if there is, because coaches talk about this, having that sense of urgency to, get things done, to progress a little bit faster. It can't be, oh, we'll get it. We'll get it. We still have time.
Yeah.
No, we'll get it. No, time is running out. So there needs to be, we're not panicking here. There's no, but there's a sense of urgency. Exactly.
Yeah.
We need to see the results. And Cam, he needs to see the results consistently.
And today, I thought they had better results. I thought the number one thing that I took away was, and Cam actually talked about it in his post-game press conference, was this is a team in the Seahawks that's not going to give up the big play. So he had a good mentality because we've all wanted to see Cam do this. Get the ball out quick. Take what the defense gives you. I thought he got into a nice groove there where all of the timing of the plays, the ball was coming out, and he was making the right decision. He was hitting the open man. He sprayed the ball around to different guys, and it looked solid. I think that was a confidence-building day.
I do want to ask you, Derek, about Carnell Tate. He didn't catch a pass that I saw in the joint practice today. He didn't catch a pass in the preseason opener last week. I also don't think he had a catch in the joint practice last week, according to reports. He missed a practice earlier this week. He was, again, out there today. He's a young rookie. These things happen. I'm curious what you saw from Carnell Tate today and how a young receiver deep into his first training camp, what those struggles can be like.
He's learning a lesson on how to become an NFL wide receiver. As much talent as he has, there's still sort of this process that you got to take. It's sort of, this road that you got to walk down. Now, some people aren't walking down that road for a very long time, the Chases and the Jeffersons and guys like that, where they seem like they hit the ground and they're running. But more times than not, there's a process that you got to go through as a player. And he's now going through it. Especially in a situation like this, when you're practicing against another opponent, you want to go out there and you want to show what you can do. You want to get your hands on the ball. Sometimes that may not happen, but you got to kind of sort of still fight through that. That's what he's learning now, because I guarantee you in Ohio State, he probably caught 2 or 3 balls every period, But in the NFL, it doesn't quite work that way. And especially when you are a rookie playing against a veteran, practicing against a veteran group like the Seattle Seahawks in their secondary. So they're going to do some things to you that, you're probably really not used to, the physicality of it. Even though your guys have been physical, they still have to be careful with you and not hurt you. But these guys are going out here and they're being physical. He dropped the pass today, Carnell Tate. So he just has to fight through this. Willy asked this question last week, the dog days, when they start, how do you kind of get through those days? And these are sort of like the dog days for a guy that didn't practice the day before, well, yesterday, and then he comes out in his first practice after having soreness or tightness, he's going up against another secondary that he's not familiar with. So he's going to have his struggles. But even in those struggles, he has to find a way to come out of those struggles. And I think what's going to be good for him is that he got Calvin Ridley. He has another veteran guy that he kind of talked through with him during, meetings or whatnot, because he's going to have a lull like this. And you just hope that it doesn't last too long.
I thought that Cam Ward last year on the roster was on the island, right? He was really not surrounded by a lot of support, and he had to survive. That was the best thing that came out of his rookie year, is he survived the year. I feel like with Tate as a rookie, like you said, it is very predictable that he's going to have some ups and downs. I think he's going to be really good, but is he going to light it up from day one? Probably not. But I think he's in a better position than Cam was last year because he's got Robinson, he's got Ridley, Iamander and DK, Helm. Like, he's got some guys who have been there a little bit. It's not on him to do it all. So I think that's going to help him. And I think with Keldrick Falk, and even you could extend it to somebody like Oladejo, the defensive line has a lot of guys. They've got depth. So they're not sitting there every practice going, boy, we got to have Falk. He's got to get 12 sacks for us this year. You don't hear he's in a position where he can grow at his own rate as a rookie and hopefully be surrounded by some pretty good players that can give him favorable matchups so that when they use him, they can play to his strengths. I hope that they can do that with Carnell Tate, to where if he has a couple weeks like today's practice where he's not catching a lot of balls, maybe you don't freak out because like today, other guys picked up the slack. The offense had a good day and Tate didn't do anything.
You want to be able to look back on film because, again, there will be some days where you're not catching a lot of balls in practice. And it's just like a game. I mean, it'd be a game where you may end up catching one ball or none. But you always got to go back to the film and say, okay, where did I improve in other areas? Okay, I didn't get the ball. Okay, but where did I improve? Did I improve my route running? Did I run the right route? Did I read the defense correctly? So even if I don't catch, 5-6 balls in practice, at least I can come out of practice saying, and I'm meaning if you didn't drop them, at least you can come out of practice saying, I did get better at these other areas, even though I didn't get a chance to, have my hands on the ball.
Where does a coach come in on that? Like the wide receivers coach?
I think the coaches.
How can you? What kind of feedback are you looking for from that?
I think the coaches can continue to reiterate to him all those small things because, again, I think one of the hardest positions on the field is wide receiver because there's only one ball.
Right.
And it's not like the running back or the quarterback. He touches the ball. The offensive line don't care. So, but the running back, the wide receiver has to do all this stuff, run back, block, and they may not even get the ball. So you as a coach, you always got to continue to, especially your young guys, you always got to continue to encourage them but you're doing this right. Make sure you stay, with your technique. You are open here. Don't worry about it. We'll find a way where the quarterback can get back to you the next game. You got to keep him engaged. If it's not by catching the football, you got to keep him engaged in the meeting room, describing the things that he did right.
615-737-1025. The Titans take on the Seahawks in preseason action Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central start. 615-737-1025. All right, it's Friday. It's time for Ask DMase with a twist. If you have a question for DMase, you ask that question via our text line at 615-737-1025. And if you are deemed to have the best question, you will win a pair of tickets to the Liberty Mutual Music City kickoff game as Ole Miss takes on Louisville, Nissan Stadium, Sunday, September 6th. This is the last pair of tickets we're giving away this week. So if you've missed your first 4 opportunities to win these tickets, you have one more chance by asking a question to Derek Mason right now, 615-737-1025. He will pick the best question, and you will win those tickets. Again, 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. DMase, Vingen and Donick, 1025 the game. It's Friday. It's time for Ask DMase. So
You
if you have a
recognize the song?
question, hold on. No.
No?
Mm-mm.
Well, you know the word that's got to be in the title.
Deep. No.
Madonna?
I don't
No?
know a lot of Madonna. I don't know a lot of Madonna.
What? Who
I
says that?
I don't
don't
know
know
a lot
Adam?
of Madonna.
You can't
Adam?
not know Madonna.
No, I know Madonna, but I don't know like a lot of Madonna.
Madonna song.
It's not worse than what Corey Curtis said.
What did Corey say?
He said he's not a fan of Prince or Michael Jackson.
Wow.
What? Either one of them?
Either one of them.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Corey is hereby excommunicated
Yes.
from the
yes,
station. Find a new
Gosh.
co-host for
yes,
Jake.
Yes.
Not happening.
That is
Yes.
shocking.
He's not.
His man card's already been revoked by TD.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's not allowed to talk about music anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of music does Corey like?
I don't know.
Blondie.
Blondie?
Nothing wrong with that.
I mean,
Blondie's good.
but if you think Blondie's good and Prince and
do
Michael Jackson,
You like
aren't-
Blondie, but you don't
yeah,
like Michael
exactly.
or Prince?
I mean, not one song that they made.
Come on.
You ain't like Purple Rain. Come on, man. Under the Cherry Moon. I mean, come on.
That's going out in the fringes
Yeah,
right there.
exactly.
Under the cherry.
What did that get on Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah, that's probably not very high. Not
Give me
as
a
high as
moment.
Purple Rain.
Oh my
In the
goodness.
meantime, it is time for Ask DMase, 615-737-1025. And you are incentivized to participate because if you do and you ask a question that Derek deems the best question, you will win a pair of tickets to see Ole Miss take on Louisville at Nissan Stadium on Sunday, September 6th in the Liberty Mutual Music City kickoff game. So if you want those tickets, 615-737-1025. All right, let's start with this texter who says that they don't want the prize, but it's a good question. DMase, you had number 82 and 97 with the Oilers, then changed to 85 for the rest of your career. Did Yancey pay you, and how much for, to get his number when he signed, or was it your choice?
Okay. No, no, and no. No, he didn't ask me. No, he didn't pay me for it. And no, did I want to give it up? So it was no across the board. It was yes. I was laying in bed one morning on this. I think it was a weekday. It was a weekday because they signed him. I was in the bed, so yes. I turned on ESPN, yes. And I saw Yancey Thigpen holding up my number, yes.
Oh,
And I did not get a phone call from anybody. I was looking at my phone and didn't hear anything. This is when people had phones in their house.
yes.
You know, back in 97. We
With
still had a
cords.
phone. Yeah, we still had, at least I did. I still had a phone in the house.
Reliable landline.
Exactly. I still had me a landline. I know some of you young folks don't know about that, but I had me a landline. So, no. Across the board, no. But you know what? Listen, in hindsight, it's 2020. I'm glad that happened because I took 85 and, made it a great number.
Well, let me ask you this. So Von Miller,
Yes.
he is joining his hometown Dallas Cowboys. Von Miller wears number 40. That number is occupied by fullback Hunter Lepke.
Mhm.
Von Miller, who, by the way, owns like a chicken farm, a poultry farm. Von Miller has offered Lipke a lifetime supply of chicken in exchange for the number.
No, I'm not.
I'm not even kidding. He has offered the fullback a lifetime supply of his chicken for number 40.
What if his chicken farm, something happens and the chickens aren't there anymore? Does that?
I don't know.
No, give me the money, man. give me the money. I'll buy my chicken. Don't worry about it. And I don't want to eat that much chicken.
A lifetime supply of chicken is hard to turn down. I would have a hard time saying no to that
Nah, I mean,
I'd rather
give
have
me the money
to buy
yeah.
the chicken.
Yeah, give me the money.
I'll take
You
the
can keep
because
chicken.
I don't care if I'm wrong or right, but I could eat chicken every night. I've said it before and I'll say it again. CHICKEN. I love chicken.
He's been waiting to use that one. He's been waiting to use that one.
All right. Alan from Nashville says, Derek,
Mm.
what was the main difference you noticed in playing for the Titans and the Ravens?
Oh man, the main difference. And it wasn't even a, a personnel thing, because I think, well, I know both organizations had great personnel, top to bottom. I'm talking about players, coaches, equipment guys and girls, training staff. You know, me going to Baltimore, it was the same thing. What I will say was the big difference was the facility. That was the biggest difference, because Baltimore's facility was much, and I mean much better than what the Titans facility was back then. Now their facilities are wonderful. They've caught up with the times. Amy's put the money in, and it's great for the players. But at that point in time, everything, when you're talking about the facility, everything was basically vanilla. You know, we worked with what we had, and we made the best with it. Not to say that we were still living the Bellevue days, because that was just downright bad. We were not living those days, but we had basically what we needed. But then you go to Baltimore, and it's like you have what you need, what you want. It was just like everything. Like, he wanted to make it a place, and he said that, I want to make it a place where the players do not want to leave. They come here and they don't want, during the season, they don't want to leave. Because a lot of guys tend to go home because it's like, man, I don't feel like staying here. It's more comfortable at the house, this and that. Well, no, they wanted to make sure that once you walked in this building, if you wanted to stay here until 9 o'clock at night, you could, because it felt like home. Everything felt like home. So, but now the Titans facility is just like that, I'm sure.
Josh says, Derek, the wife and I are thinking of redoing our vows. If we do, would you be my best man?
Oh, man, be your best man. What does the best man for you entail? That's what I would need to know.
Okay. Josh, get back to us. Let us know.
You got to give the big toast.
You got to get a big toast. Yeah, I got that. Yeah.
Get that
If he wants me to get, I can't get
First
a big
of all,
toast because I don't know him. No, that's what I'm saying.
Who would go like that? That's an interesting invite. Hey, you know who's going to be my best man? Not my brother, not my best buddy from high school. Derek Mason. Have you ever met him? No.
But I asked him. Sure.
He said yes. Bring him on.
Oh, man. What does the best man entail? That's what I want to know. Because each, I know what sort of like, the outline is, but is there more?
You stand next to the groom.
Yeah, you stand next to the groom, hand over the ring. Hey, you got the ring? Can I get the ring? Who has the ring? Best man. You check your inside pocket, pull out your best, your ring, you give it to, the groom, and he puts it on the bride. So if that's all it takes, I don't want to do any speeches because I don't know him.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
Yeah. I give away I do the ring thing,
Jeff says, what was the biggest training camp fight you saw during your playing career, and who started it?
Oh, man. I can't. Let me see. I know Albert, he got kicked out of some fights early in his career. Yeah, that may have been one. Yeah, because he got kicked out. Jeff wasn't having it and kicked him out. I'm trying to think of, did I see any, because we had a veteran team. And a lot of guys, I think they were past that, fighting stage. So I didn't, other than the Albert thing, and that happened this rookie year, I didn't see many big fights. You have your wrestling matches, but now ain't no punches thrown because we knew if you threw a punch, you would get kicked out of practice.
One texter says, DMase, did you have a certain equipment manager or managers who you never had to ask for anything specific or special, like they already knew your game/practice day routine?
Nah, because Hoss was great, man. When I was a rookie, it was like Hoss was like, yeah, you gotta be a little tight with everything. But once I proved myself, they made sure, and on game day, they made sure you had everything you needed. To the equipment room, meaning because it's adjacent to actually it's inside the locker room. It was, and you could just walk right in. In Baltimore, it was adjacent to the locker room, so you had to walk out of the locker room, and then it was right across the hall. But there's never been Edo, who has passed away. He was the head equipment guy. in Baltimore my years. Will Sheridan, who actually was here, he was the guy is second in command when Edo was there. But I never had to, it wasn't like if I needed something, they gave it to me, So it was in college. Now, college was a different thing. They didn't give you anything. They expected you to wear the same socks for 12 weeks. They didn't care. He wouldn't give you gloves. He wouldn't give you new socks. He wouldn't give you a new jock strap. Yes, he was, man. That dude act like he bought the stuff.
Wow.
It was bad, man. It was bad.
Jackson says, if Adam could eat chicken every night, what food could you eat every night, DMase? Let me answer that question for him. Chiba Hut.
Damn near eat every night, it would seem.
That's shout out to our friends at
plug
Chiba
the
Hut.
Chiba Hut.
Shout out.
Pizza would be one that comes to mind because I love pizza. I love Italian food, period.
Yes.
But I don't know, like what, because eventually your body is just going to start to reject it, after you eat it every single day. So I don't know if there is a food that I can eat. Now, if you say, what is a food that they say you can only eat it for the next 2 months? Oh, that's easy. But for the rest of your life, I don't know. I don't think there's anything I can eat for the rest of my life.
That would be rough.
That'd be tough. Whew.
Think about it. 615-737-1025. You still have time to ask a question to Derek Mason. And if you ask the question that Derek chooses as his favorite, you will win a pair of tickets to see Ole Miss versus Louisville at Nissan Stadium on Sunday, September 6th. So you've got one more segment. So get those questions in now. 615-737-1025. We'll wrap up the show and the week. Coming up next, Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. DMase, Vingen, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Here's an interesting post that just crossed my timeline by Brian Nemhauser, who was a Seahawks blogger. He said, I've heard from multiple Seahawks fans who attended the joint practice in Nashville that they were not allowed to wear Seahawks gear. One fan was removed and told he could not re-enter until he turned his shirt inside out. It was also reported that the Titans gathered Seahawks fans for team drills in one specific area where it was difficult to see what was going on at practice. Interesting policy by the Titans. I saw plenty of people in Seahawks gear at the practice today.
When the practice, before the two teams, came together and, offense and defense over here, offense and defense on the other side of the ball, they had, the Titans on one field, on their main field, which they usually use all the time. And then they had Seattle on the far field. Every team does that. Willie made a point. Do you think they're going to make everything easy? Like, you can have a run of everything. We're going to make sure y'all have the best. They had a really good field they were on. There were Seahawks fans down at that end, but they didn't purposely put them in a corner where it was hard for Seahawks fans to see. No, all they had to do was walk and go see them. It was open to everybody, so I don't know what that fan's talking about.
Okay, so do you guys? I don't know. You said you saw people in Seahawks gear.
I saw a dude with a big 12 chain and a funny haircut and all that stuff.
It could have been that strict.
Yeah.
I don't know if different gates had different things, but look, if you go to another person's house, you're playing by their rules.
Yeah.
Don't go in there with the entitlement of, I'm just coming in, Mr. Seattle. Here I come. I want the Seahawks. I want my favorite players right in front of me. I'm wearing my Seahawks. It's just be aware of your surroundings. If the other team says you can't come in with the jersey on, then respect that. You don't have to have your Seahawks jersey on. They don't care whether you do or not. I hate to tell you, your Seahawks players, they know you're supportive of them. They don't need to see your jersey. Just come and enjoy the practice. You're in somebody else's house.
Yeah,
Respect the house rules.
Don't come in and start putting your feet on the table.
This is a bigger thing now, right? Teams, fans going on the road to see their team play.
Mm-hmm.
It is much more of a practice now than it used to be.
Of course, yeah, because they're doing it more, and it seems like things are more accessible. It's more open for fans to come and see.
And I don't have a problem with that. But I just think how you handle yourself, how you conduct yourself when you're on the road should be different than when you're in your home stadium. Don't come in there and try to take over the place. That's not how you should do it. Cheer for your team, but don't expect and be entitled to, well, I'm here, so everything should be catered to what I want.
We won a Super Bowl.
All right, let's do some rapid fire Ask DMase for those Ole Miss Louisville tickets. You still got a couple of minutes left. 615-737-1025. One texter says, DMase, what is your take on boneless wings? Should we categorize them as chicken wings, or are they simply just chicken nuggets for grown folks?
Chicken nuggets for grown folks. They ain't got no bone in it, so it ain't a chicken wing.
I agree.
No bone, no wing.
That is a great take, DMase.
No bone, no wing. There you go.
No, boneless wings are chicken nuggets. They
They're
are
just big
one.
nuggets.
They are one and the same.
Absolutely.
I will judge you if you are an adult who eats boneless wings. Okay, don't do it.
I would be fine ordering boneless wings, but I'm not going to call them wings.
Yeah,
I agree that they're chicken nuggets.
Take it up with Buffalo Wild Wings. Take it up with the wing people. Big chicken wing. They've got it. They've got to figure it out. One texter says, DMase, are joint practices really worth it? The risks of fights, injuries, etc.
I think they are. I think it breaks up the monotony of camp. It allows you, before the preseason games, to get sort of a picture of where you're at that particular moment. Not to say that's where you're going to be moving forward, good or bad, but it's okay. We've practiced against ourselves for the last week and a half. Now let's go against another team. So I don't mind the joint practices. They do need to stop out. I don't believe there are a lot of fights. It's just when there is one, it's big. And then it gets, it becomes the trending thing, on social media or on ESPN.
One texter says that Seattle fan reminds me of the commercial with the boyfriend who shows up with the Duke shirt, and the whole family,
Yes,
his girlfriend's whole family is wearing North Carolina gear. I mean, I can relate to that, except I would never in my life date a North Carolina fan. But that's not a
Disqualifier?
Disqualifier.
In
Ooh.
all circumstances.
Yes.
Automatic.
Ooh,
Yeah.
man.
Oh, man, I don't know about that.
What if Arlo decides to go to North Carolina?
He will not know it exists other than to hate it. Arlo learned his ABCs just like I learned my ABCs. Anybody but Carolina. ABC.
All right, runs deep. I get you.
I mean,
I'm with Michigan, but my
we
son's
can all
grown,
relate.
so I can't do anything.
we can all relate. Dustin in Hopkinsville says, Derek, you're going to be stranded on an island. You can only take your ex-Titans teammates or your ex-Ravens teammates.
Oh man,
Who are you taking?
all of them.
Nope.
All of them. I'm taking all of them. Give me everybody.
No, that's a cop
You
out.
know what? I am taking both my ex-Titans and ex-Ravens teammates. Samari.
The ones, the crossover
exactly.
teammates.
The crossover teammates. So there you go.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's
So there you go. All those that came with me to Baltimore. That's who I would take.
that's clever. One texter says, as we near cutdown day, what is the conversation among the players as that day?
I think that day is you can tell, at least, when I was playing, you can tell after a while who are going to be those guys that more than likely are going to get cut, and who those fringe guys are. And the day, it's like the game, it's not even a day leading up, because it's like you're still game planning for that last preseason game. At least those guys that are on the fringe that needs that extra work, they're game planning for the game. So they're not thinking, or they shouldn't be thinking about them, getting cut. They should be thinking about, how do I best prepare myself for this last game to put something good on tape, for either this team or another team. So leading up, it's just you're so immersed into doing that, but it's just after the game where you come back in the locker room and then like, okay, tomorrow's it's cut down day, and it's not fun. It's not fun. I've been there. I haven't been there in the manner that we have seen on Hard Knocks, where they bring a rookie in and, hey, pack your bags, you got to go, and thanks, if you need. It wasn't like that, but I have been cut. So mine were more so, even in both situations, I knew it was coming. I just knew it. So I had already prepared myself as much as I could, because even when you get cut, it's like, man, damn. And you have that sort of thought. But even with that, I mean, it's one of those days that you wish didn't come, because you know how hard these guys. Now, some guys, that were just not doing what they're supposed to do, all right, get them out of here. But those guys that are working hard and they're doing everything, you feel bad for those guys, because you know that they gave it their all, and yet still it wasn't enough for them. And sometimes it's not even about, necessarily about how they perform. It's just the numbers are one. We need numbers over here where we can't keep, say, like the fifth running back or the fourth running back. He may be a good player, but we just can't keep him because we have to have numbers somewhere else.
Quickly, one more from Madden Franklin. With Mike Borgonzi now having 2 drafts and 2 free agencies under his watch, does he have to hit on both the 2026 draft picks and the 2026 free agents to be considered safe in 2027 if the team doesn't show progress this year?
I think he has to show progress, because, if he doesn't, then, you further cloud, this perception that people have about this organization, that they just can't get things right and they can't go out and get the right players. So it is critical for, I think, Borgonzi, for this class of rookies to hit, and for this class of free agents to hit, because that's the only way this team is going to develop the way they want them to develop. Because if those free agents don't hit, now I got to play like they did last year. I got to play Ellick and DK more than what I originally wanted to play them. They would have to play some of those younger guys a lot more than what they originally thought they would need to play them. So best case scenario is that the veteran guys, the free agent guys, they do their job. They don't have to be Pro Bowlers. They don't have to be all pros. They go out there and do your job. So those younger guys can develop while y'all are doing the jobs y'all are supposed to do.
All right, Derek Mason, we will confer after the program, and we will be in touch with the winner for those Music City kickoff tickets between Ole Miss and Louisville. The Tennessee Titans are back on the field at Nissan Stadium Sunday night, primetime, baby, against the Seattle Seahawks. We will have a full reaction to it Monday at 3 p.m.
Flash me. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Please, somebody flash Willy.
For
This
your own
weekend.
good.
This weekend,
the
somebody
field.
Sunday on the
TV.
field,
On
flash
the TV.
Willy.
On the
Yes. We will ask the question, who flashed Willy? Monday at 3 p.m. as we have full reaction to the Tennessee Titans preseason game against the Seattle Seahawks. I'm hoping and wishing and praying that Cam Ward has a better game so that the sky isn't falling like it was on Monday when we came in, or last Friday, rather, when we were talking about the Tennessee Titans performance. But that will do it for us today and this week. We hope you had a wonderful time with us. We had a wonderful time with you. Again, we will be back on these airwaves Monday at 3 p.m. to recap the Titans preseason game against the Seattle Seahawks. We'll look ahead to the next joint practice with the Chicago Bears as well. We'll do it all Monday at 3 p.m.
Be loved, love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful weekend. I love you. The team loves you. You hear that music. Don't forget about us, because we will not forget about you. We're back on these airways starting at 3 p.m. Yeah, not 1. Starting at 3 p.m. On 102. I was going to say 102.5, the game.
Yes.
And we'll be talking about the Titans, recapping the Titans game this Sunday, starting at what? 7?
7.
Starting at 7. So we'll be recapping that and everything else that concerns the Tennessee Titans. And we may get some Vandy and UT stuff in there during the week, but we will be talking majority Tennessee Titan football on Monday. As I always say, we're going to be talking, and
You gonna be listening.
peace.